even you as a journalist, if you have enough capital, you can go and set up an off-grid solar system. So it doesn't necessarily have to be state government, but yes, state government can be encouraged to also engage in the generation of power using the renewable energy system that has been talked about here, especially solar. You know, you have solar that with about maybe 100 million, you can provide a mini grid that can solve like 200 settlement mini grid. So state government can do that. So it is for us, all of us, to be committed. And this is why we need legislators that represent the larger population of Nigerians to understand what this means. Most of them are knowing about mini grid for the first time here. So if we have that appreciation, we'll be able to encourage even our state governors. Say, look, there's a village here that has a settlement of over 200 people. You can set up a mini grid. How much does it cost? With 200 million, comfortably, you can set up a mini grid. And this will begin to address the problem of accessibility of power by Nigerians. When you hear most of these developing countries say that, well, that they have 80% of their people have access to power, it is not the national grid. It is these mini grids, it is these solar system, renewable energy, whether it is by biotechnology, where you can burn these rice stalks and generate electricity from that. Those are all areas that people or countries have been able to provide electricity to their own people. We are determined that that should happen. And I see that some foreign financial institution and some foreign government, especially the German government, given the understanding it has with our president, have been able to support the Rural Electrification Agency properly in the provisions of this renewable energy, especially as it relates to solar light. And I think that with time, we'll be able to achieve that. But we need this understanding. And I will also encourage you who are in the fourth SS of the realm to give enough publicity. Individuals who have money, if you have 100 million, you can set up a mini grid in your village and begin to collect money. It's business, it's going to be good business. But most people don't have this understanding. So we want to educate people, we want to educate ourselves first and foremost before we begin to encourage potential investors to come in and invest in this sector.
Thank you, sir.
That the power sector is a technical sector. And as legislators, most of us, our background are not necessarily in the power sector. As committee members, we need to have a better appreciation of the basics so that when we are discussing about power, as members of the National Assembly, we'll be discussing it from a position of knowledge and not as laymen. That is why we decided to organize this capacity building for members of the House of Representatives and members of the Senate Committee on Power, so that we'll be better placed to inform either the Senate or the House as members of this committee on this issue. You know, power has become a big problem to Nigerians. And so if as legislators who are in these committees do not ourselves understand the basics in the power sector, then we'll not be in a position to properly articulate the issues that has to do with the power sector. That is why we organize this.
Okay. Now, 12,000 megawatts of installed capacity, and now we are 3,500. How does this make you feel as a lawmaker?
This is why, yesterday there was a resolution in the Senate that we need to have a round table with all the stakeholders in the power sector for us to address it. So much money have been expended in the power sector, and still the only thing that we can generate that goes out to Nigeria is just within the range of 3,500 to 4,000 megawatts. Meanwhile, we have installed capacity for generation of over 12,000. Now, what are the reasons? What are the challenges? Why can't we generate the entire 12,000? There are a lot of reasons, as you've heard from the presenters here. The issues of transmission, whether if we generate 12,000, whether that 12,000 can be evacuated by the transmission lines that we now have. Of course not, because the capacity now, as we've been told from transmission, for them to evacuate power is just about 8,000. Even that 8,000 is doubtful because it is only once that we're able to evacuate about 5,000 megawatts of power. Even that 5,000 didn't last for long. So basically, the transmission have a capacity for now that they can take out 4,000. That is what the distribution can take. Distributions have their own problem. They are unable to completely absorb the power that has been transmitted to them. So the entire value chain of the power sector, they are a problem. And so as legislators, not as legislators, as a Nigerian, I'm not quite comfortable, I'm not happy that we're unable to achieve the 12,000 generation capacity. And we're not able to transmit even up to 5,000. And the distribution companies are not able to absorb what has been generated. Even the 4,000 generated is not all of it that has been taken by the distribution company. So we have a very fundamental problem in the power sector. And we're determined to join force with the president or the federal or the executive arm of government for us to at least provide electricity to Nigeria. We intend to achieve 23,000, as the president has said. By the year 2022, we should be able to move beyond 10,000. If we have 10,000 megawatts of electricity on our national grid, most of the unemployment problem will be solved because people from different sectors of the economy will be able to have industries. This industry will observe our youth that are on the street. Of course, it will also settle security problem because once you have most of these graduates engaged, they will not be idle, so they will not be engaged in acts that are inimical to the development of this country. So we need to actually address the issues of power. This is why I deem it as chairman of the committee fit for us to have capacity. Let us develop capacity, and we engage this expert to come and give us, make presentation to us that can put us in a better state to look at the power sector properly.
Okay, finally, sir. In terms of